Welcome back. This is Ashley with Uncomplicate Ed. If you are a Florida educator or parent and you're wanting to learn more about these new standards, then you've come to the right place. By the end of this video, you are going to learn why the B.E.S.T standards were created in the first place. That way you can use that info to help move our kiddos forward. Oh, and you'll also be able to articulate the best structure for the ELA benchmarks. This is kind of my jam. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell if you want notifications. You might have already guessed it, but B.E.S.T is actually an acronym. Anyone know what it stands for? Benchmarks educating students trying? Beginning educators sob typically. I know, I'm being a little bit bananas, extra, silly, and trite. Benchmarks for excellent student thinking. Yeah, a bit of a stretch, I know, but hey, it works. First, let's learn a little bit about why these standards were created in the first place. Because, what else do we have better to do than to learn new standards? Worldwide pandemic. Our governor, Ron DeSantis, wanted to get rid of Common Core because let's face it, that's really what the former LAF standards were. We all knew it. He set a goal of wanting to make Florida #1 in the country for literacy. Want to guess where we currently are? Yeah, if you guess low, you're right, but probably not low enough. Lower, 48th. So, Ronnie, I love that you got a BHAG, but maybe we want to make a more reasonable and feasible goal. How about we go with 40th to start? Okay, so new standards you want, new standards you get. Now, what I do love about these standards, and I think this is the third or fourth set of standards that we've had in Florida since I've lived here, but what I love about them is they start to go back to the basics and foundations that we all know really works. Finally, we're talking spelling, handwriting, fluency, how to just plain read in a systematic approach, the importance of selecting great texts. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. They asked educated people, teachers, to help create these standards. And for the most part, I love them. In fact, the Florida Department of Education manual opens up with an excerpt from a wonderful speech. Without education, he lives within the narrow, dark, and grimy walls of ignorance. Education, on the other hand, means emancipation. To deny education to any people is one of the greatest crimes against human nature. Don't you just love this? Education is the great emancipator. Now, if we believe this, if we live and breathe this, then it is a grave social injustice to leave any child behind, especially if it is due to their zip code, their looks, their beliefs, their religion, their anything. By not educating children to the fullest by which they are capable, we are denying them an education and thereby denying them freedom. Now, I get a little bit worked up about this, but sometimes we can just get so caught up in the mundane or the new standards or whatever, and we forget the root cause of why we do what we do. It's important. It matters every day. But of course, you already know that. Now for the boring stuff. Stay with me. This is important. Let's talk the structure. Biggest change is that they're called benchmarks now. Benchmarks, people, not just standards. This was a big language shift for me. So let's break it down. Basically, it goes like this. There are 4 strands in the ELA benchmarks. There is foundations, reading, communications, and vocabulary. Now, in each of those 4 strands, there are standards. Now, these standards are still too broad to do anything with. Kind of think of them as smaller buckets than the strands. But inside each of the standards are the benchmarks. Now, here's where the goods are. Importantly, this is what you need to teach, but more importantly, it's what the students need to learn. Well, we're going to dig more into the standards and benchmarks in a future video, but essentially, there you have it, folks. You know why the benchmarks were created in the first place. 1, to get rid of Common Core, and 2, to go from 48th in the nation in literacy to first. And you understand a little bit about the structure, from strands to standards to benchmarks. Benchmarks, they're called benchmarks, people. Now, you know all the basics. Go forth and impress your friends at parties. or probably not. All right, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell if you want to be notified of when a new video drops, and join us next time where we're going to be exploring the elusive ELA expectations for K-12. Oh, and if you want to find out about getting professional development for your school, we have it in PLCs as well as trainings, then check out our website, www.uncomplicated.com. All right, folks, see you next time. Have an awesome day.